We are back on the Rational Boomer podcast. Hopefully, your day is going well. When you listen to this, it'll be Wednesday. We're recording it Tuesday night. And when I was watching all that happened today, I said, I got to talk to somebody. And I reached out to Will because I knew Will would have paid attention to everything that's gone on because it's been absolutely crazy what's been happening. So I said, Will, you got time tonight? He does. So we have Will with us tonight. Thank you for joining us.
I appreciate you, Mike. Thanks for reaching out. Yeah, it's been an interesting day, is to put it the least. As we were just talking about a moment ago, only Donald Trump can do this much bullshit in 24 hours.
Yeah.
Absolutely. I mean, not just the Epstein vote, everything else. The Crown Prince of Saudi Arabia in there defending his murderers, calling a reporter or insulting a reporter, still saying the economy is the best in the world, putting up golden age. It could only get better. I mean, I just can't do this. Who can do this in 24 hours and not be forced to resign the position? Donald
That's an
Trump.
excellent point. Well, you take a look at any 24-hour period. I bet you could pick about any 24-hour period in the last 11 months and you can find something that should have caused Donald Trump to be impeached or to resign. And it just continues and it continues. But we saw something that I think if you told people about this a month ago, they would never have believed it. The situation with the bill to release the Epstein files in the House. It started out in the House.
Mm-hmm.
Now, keep in mind, to get this thing on the floor, they needed a discharge petition because Mike Johnson would not put it on the floor for a vote. So they struggled and they struggled and they fought and they got to 218 votes needed for the discharge petition. So they just slipped by with one vote to get this done. So then now they set up a vote in the full House for whether or not they should release the Epstein files. And we were hearing there might be 50 Republicans that voted for it, 100, maybe 150. And the thing about it is you could see why that was going to happen. Now, people were going to have to put their name on the dotted line as to whether they want the Epstein files released or if they want to keep them hid. And of course, people are concerned about their constituents. So when they take the vote today, the final vote is 427 for releasing the Epstein files to one against, and that was Clay Higgins.
Clay Higgins.
He's one of these cowboy posers that thinks he's hot shit, and all he did was really embarrass himself today when he did this. But part of the reason this happened was because Donald Trump said, yeah, I think they should all vote for it. I've got nothing to hide. And when I heard that, I knew it was a bullshit line. I knew he didn't really mean that. He was just trying to save face because he knew a bunch of people were going to vote for the release of the files. And he didn't want to look like a loser because this would be a big loss for him. So he says, yeah, everybody should sign on to it. And of course, everybody does. A lot of people are thinking he's got some kind of strategy going on, and maybe he does, maybe people around him does, but this situation in the vote in the House, this is something that flat out got away from him. And whether it leads to the opening of the Epstein files or not, it is a huge loss and should be a red flag to every Republican in Congress.
It got away from him the minute that the Democrats released those 3 emails.
Yeah,
those
absolutely.
emails. As soon as that, it got away from him, and it got away from Mike Johnson. As we discussed the last time I was on with you, that subpoena came from James Comey of the Oversight Committee. He wanted everything from the Epstein estate, so he set it out there thinking he was going to get something. Well, he got something that the Democrats could use. And those emails, when they released them, it almost made the releasing of the files themselves moot, because those things were nasty, horrible,
And I think there's going to be more coming from the Epstein estate and out of the Oversight Committee, especially if there's any dicking around with these files. Now, the next step for this after clearing the House is to go to the Senate. And some people are saying, oh my God, They'll shut it down there. They'll shut it down here. Um, Maybe they'll get 60 votes. Maybe they won't. But then Chuck Schumer came back shortly after the House vote and said, "We've got unanimous consent." I think they do official vote on it today or tomorrow. But unanimous consent release the Epstein files. Now, I'm not sure if Donald Trump was expecting that to happen or not, but
I think
the people in the Senate really had a problem. First of all, they
right.
had to say, "I got to release the files. Otherwise, I look like I'm covering up for a pedophile and
Hmm.
for Donald Trump. So I got to do that." But at the same time, when the House came back with a vote of 427 to 1, that really put pressure on the Senate.
And also, what put pressure on the Senate is that was Mike Johnson's press conference after the victims' press conference.
Yeah.
Okay, so Marjorie Taylor Greene is showboating. I'm not buying you, dude. I'm not buying her. I'm not buying her shit. I mean, no, I'm not buying it.
I
Okay,
don't like her,
but
but I'll use her.
yeah, that's fine. An enemy of my enemy is my friend, but I'm not buying it. But that being said, he literally got up on a press conference and said we should pass them, that I'll vote to pass them, but we should protect the names on that list because they too are victims of Epstein. Motherfucker actually said that.
Yeah.
I heard that. I'm going, you really think we're stupid? Really fucking stupid.
Yeah, he
You're
does.
telling me the people's name on there that are probably committed criminal acts went to Epstein's Island and were conned into being there? They were victimized by Epstein? That's what that's why when it hit the Senate, because he said he was working with certain senators to take names out of the bill.
Yeah.
And I think that probably turned to the senators going, and I think Chuck Schumer gave them what they wouldn't do in the House, which was a unanimous vote.
Right.
They wouldn't do it in the House because they wanted names. I get it. That's a bigger
Right.
prize. In the
Well,
Senate, Chuck
yeah.
Schumer said, do unanimous consent or we're going to force you to put your names in shit.
The other
So,
thing that Mike Johnson did that, Mike Johnson is only second to Donald Trump as far as making himself look weak. Donald Trump looks very weak right now, and so does Mike Johnson. Now, after it passed the House, Mike Johnson had to grouse a little bit and talk some shit. He says, "Well, there's some things in that particular bill that I don't think are fair or right or whatever. So I'm hoping our colleagues over in the Senate change the bill and send it back to us." 2 minutes
yep.
after they got the bill, they said unanimous consent. We're leaving it
Yeah.
as it is. So Mike Johnson looks like he's got no fucking pull. And I don't know, maybe he just said it to make it look good for the audience of one, or maybe he really meant it.
But,
But people
but
feel like they got to get this done. Otherwise, they're going to be crucified. And they're probably right.
I mean, because I think he still thinks that the base is going to, no, I take it back. The base will support him
Yeah.
regardless. I mean, you've seen that already. The Megyn Kelly thing. Megyn Kelly is going with, yeah, well, fuck you, when the people are calling her out on that. That's basically what she's saying in nicer terms, but she's just basically doubling down on her that is really 15-year-olds that young. Really? I
Yeah.
mean, come on. Honestly, that's what she said. That's what she said. You can't run from it. And the worst thing is about it to watch, be there bots or be there MAGA people dismissing that. Some people saying, I'd rather him being a pedophile as long as he gets rid of all the immigrants. I mean, I've seen that.
That's pretty
There
much
was
true.
there's a creator on TikTok who does the live, come on MAGA, explain yourself, which I'm not privy to because I think it's a waste of time. But he had a guy to come on there and said, tell me why it's a bad thing to have that children are raped. He literally said that, and the guy's like, excuse me? He goes, yeah, explaining how that's a bad thing. He goes, let me get this straight. Let me get this straight. You want me to you want me to say why it's bad to rape children? He goes, yeah, they're cocks in your ears. I mean, this is in the video. I'm watching it. He goes, yeah, go ahead, explain it to me. And I'm like going, and he's like, he didn't even address me. He goes, I didn't think they'd go this low. I
I
never
mean,
thought they would go this low.
it's
And
illegal, it's immoral, it's any number of things. And if you think having sex with an underage person, whether they happen to be 15 or 8, it really doesn't make a difference. I
but
don't even know what Megyn Kelly was trying to say. Look,
what?
I have a 15-year-old grand niece. Love
Mm-hmm.
that kid. And I got to tell you, if some man twice her age or older approached her, there's probably about 10 people in her family that would make sure that man never walks again.
No, he'll
There's a lot of
disappear in the
people
woods
that's,
of. He'll disappear
yeah,
in the woods of Minnesota and never be seen again.
right, right.
I mean, ice freezes quick. You're gone.
Does.
I
Snow
mean,
covers a lot.
yeah, and also it's like, but that's nothing. If you look at a lot of the things, you've seen a lot of those MAGA preachers talking about young brides. There have been cases, I mean, like in Tennessee and other states where they don't want to get rid of child brides. I mean, there's some kind of weird obsession with that. Okay. And don't give me that they did that in the 1880s. Yeah, because the life expectancy of people was 45 or something
Right.
like that. Okay. So don't. And even that was not correct. And we, as society and civilization, we're supposed to grow up, but I don't, because there's an obsession with these.
Yeah.
There's an obsession with these, and I don't get it, because honestly, if you're doing that, you aren't part of society. Period. And
Yeah.
it's like, and you can't justify it. And here's the bottom line: Jeffrey Epstein and Ghislaine Maxwell made a fucking lot of money selling little girls to rich men for them to, and this is blunt, if you don't like it, you don't know me, to fuck them. Let's just put it on the line. They made a shit ton of money. And one of the biggest predators was Donald Trump. To the
Well, the
point that
thing,
in the emails, Jeffrey Epstein was like, oh man, this guy's bothering me. When you bother Jeffrey Epstein, you got issues.
well,
That's what he would say to me.
it's not just the intercourse aspect of it. I mean, that may be the main part of it, but there was a lot more to this. There was the emotional and physical abuse.
Yes.
I mean, it was almost torturous over and above the actual sex act. And I'm not saying the sex act wasn't torturous. I'm saying there was a lot of factors here. These people destroyed other human beings, more than just a rape situation, but
Mm-hmm.
emotionally and mentally, and these kids were children. Um,
And there was, and one person, there was one creator, and I was watching it. It's just she came across my FYP. She was talking about the Kelly statement, because Kelly has a teenage daughter, 14,
yeah.
15, I believe. And she said Megyn Kelly is like the parents of those girls. He goes, those girls, the parents set them up from there because for money, for threats, whatever. They dismissed it. They set their children out into that. And I'm listening to it. Yeah, they're complicit. And when things happen, or maybe they were lied to and conned, but when things happen, money came out to shut them out. Threats came out to shut them up. We know how this fucking shit works. And it, it's it, it sickens me right now to think that the only way that you can make a dent in this whole ridiculous thing for the last 10 plus years with Trump is because of this that everyone knew he was doing anyway. People knew this in New York before
You
this
know,
shit.
the thing is that I think some people are suggesting this is obviously much bigger. There's more things involved. There's possible international crimes, espionage. There is money crimes. There's all kinds of things that are going on. And some people think that's what they're afraid to have revealed because most of the Trumplafucks, the Republicans, don't see anything wrong with sex with girls underage. That's not shameful to them. You know, yeah, of course I
Yeah.
like young girls. So I'm wondering what's behind it and what's going to come out out of these files, assuming we see the files. And I'm not convinced that we're going to see
Yeah.
the files anytime soon, honestly.
I mean, some people are saying that him getting Pam Bondi to chase Democrats over these files means that she can pull the files and evidence, can't release them while she's doing that. I don't think he's that smart. I think he did that as revenge. But
I
Mark
think he did it
Epstein,
as revenge eventually,
yeah,
but he'll use whatever angle he can get.
yeah. And then Mark Epstein, who is um, Jeffrey Epstein's brother, who's been sending emails and stuff, and why he's not in jail, because you can't tell me, bro, you weren't part of it. You got lucky. You got lucky.
No,
You turned
no,
on
Michael
someone.
Wolff, the
Yeah,
author
Michael Wolff too.
who was
Yeah,
who was friends with
yeah,
Epstein. You can't tell me he wasn't complicit in this shit.
yeah. You got lucky. You made some deals. But he was saying that he's thinking that the reason Republicans flipped so quickly is that the files are going to be redacted. They're just going to be nothing but blank or black spaces with all the names removed. So it just would be the only thing I'm going to say is that, as one person said, go ahead and do it. And we start reading it. Trust me, there are some very bright people out there who will figure shit out. Great example. And I did a video on it before we came on. Have you ever seen the movie Hidden Figures? The one where they show the three black female mathematicians that put men in space. It's a great
Yeah,
movie. You haven't seen it,
I've
but
seen
there's
it.
a
Yeah,
scene. Yeah, there's a scene where they ask her to come up with some math on trajectories, but she can't do it because they don't have the information on the Redstone rocket because it's classified. They send it to her, but it's all black. What does
yeah.
she do? She puts it up against the light and gets the numbers. That's why they get pissed, because all of a sudden she's getting calls. The FBI showing them and going, "Why does she know this? Is she a communist?" And he goes, he asked him, "I love Kevin Costner. What'd you do?" I held it up to the light. He goes, "Yep." And that's the thing. You think you'll be slick. Trust me, people are really smart and they can make assumptions around there. And
Let me ask
assumptions are
you
just as
this.
bad. Mhm.
Let me ask you this. The idea that the Republicans appeared to have caved in the House and now the Senate and all voted to release the files. Do you think that that is some strategy that they have in mind or that they know they've got it fixed on the other end? Or is this just things falling apart for Donald Trump and people finally having to be in a position where they've got to step away from Donald Trump? Which do you think it is?
You know what? The thing they refer to Donald Trump as the other Teflon Don. Okay.
Yeah.
Um, Although they did catch the other Don eventually. Um,
Yeah. And he died in
eh,
prison.
Died in prison. So I want to think that so much shit has been rolling downhill for Republicans because they can defend the economy all they want, but it's bad. It's really bad. They know it. They smell it.
Yeah.
They sniff it. I mean, I've seen a couple of town halls and one in Iowa where that lady's trying to defend Trump, and those people are on her like white on rice. Especially when she talked about the Chinese and the soybeans, and said that, yeah, well, he promised he's gonna they're gonna buy the soybeans, and someone screaming, when, it's because like they know it's a con now. It's a con, and I think they can. And I'm hoping, and I'm saying this on a 60-40 to your question, that 60% saw this as an opportunity to finally break with Trump and run for the hills because they don't fear the primary. They don't. You know why? Because
Because
after
for
last
him, from
Tuesday,
him.
yeah, well, that and also after the early Tuesday's elections this month, they found out that being part of the MAGA movement is bad,
Well,
and
yeah, you
people
make
are
a good
like
point. You make a good
pissed.
point. You make a good point because up to that election, they were trying to preserve what they had with Donald Trump and the base.
Right.
When that election happened, they realized that preservation didn't work. So
Right.
now it's a redemption. Now they're
And
trying to
then
redeem themselves.
and then after the election, they wanted to see the reaction of Trump's regime. What was the reaction? Denial. It never happened. That was just blue states. Yeah, but in Georgia, we had an incident with the two public commissioners. In Mississippi, they broke the supermajority in their house, state
Yep.
house. I mean, there were leanings. Prop 51 by 2/3 majority.
Yeah.
Come on, you could see that they know it, but the Trump regime, including like with Grinder Mike Johnson, was like, no, it was all but nothing to see here. You saw nothing. And then when they finally realized that it was about affordability, Trump's first reaction about affordability, now that's a lie because everything's affordable. No, Mr. President, doesn't work out. Well, look at the Walmart turkey. Look at that. Look. I mean, do you see? And he keeps doing it now because now they see he's struggling and they can't sell the lie. They're not even going to sell the lie for the war in Venezuela. They
No.
can't sell the lie that he's part of a drug cartel because FBI and DEA reports are saying, nope, the drugs don't go through Venezuela like that. They don't. They don't. That's not how it works anymore. Stop watching Miami Vice, and even then it was through Colombia. Okay,
Yeah.
and so what they're seeing is that what slowly but surely what we're seeing is the lie's not sticking. The only lie that's still sticking is the immigration lie because the base and a lot of the white folk still like watching Mexicans getting picked up and beaten the shit out of. They like
Yeah.
that still. But that's
Well,
coming to go ahead, I'm sorry.
well, regarding the Epstein thing, I think people need to understand. I think a lot of them thought when it passed the House, the Epstein files would be released immediately. Not the case.
No.
Had to go to the Senate. Now, the Senate has passed it, and it's going to Donald Trump to sign. He claims he's going to sign it. So let's assume he's true to his word. I know that sounds fucking crazy, but just for the sake of argument, let's say he does sign it. Does that mean the Epstein files are going to be released imminently? No, it doesn't.
No.
It's kind of what you talked about. But first and foremost, then it goes to the DOJ and they have 30 days to prepare it. Now,
Shit.
they may use the excuse that they are investigating some of these other people, whether it was intentional or not. They're going to look for every angle they can to delay this thing because, as much as Donald Trump said he wants them released, he does not. He knows he's in a bad way in this situation. So, will they try to delay it through the DOJ? If they do, they'll get a ton of backlash and a lot of
Yeah.
bad PR. Then, secondly, it's what you said. Will they release files that are heavily redacted? I got to tell you, they're trying to end this situation. They're trying to stop us talking about it. If they release heavily redacted files, that's not stopping anything. That's just
Nope.
going to inflame people more. So go ahead
Yeah.
and do that.
And it's gonna like every investigate. Trust me, they'll go through it. Like I said before, they'll find names. They'll do it. But and again, if it goes to Pam Bondi doesn't realize that the time that she's going to be spending in prison, it keeps going larger and larger as she keeps opening her mouth covering for Trump.
Yeah.
And the more you keep doing that, and the more you keep not doing your job, and Cash Patel, you too, you weasel, your time is running out because you're not doing your job. You're not Trump's lackeys, but that's what she's doing. On a side note, I find it sweetly ironic that a federal judge appointed by Trump told Texas to go pound sand with the
That
congressional maps,
that was excellent.
and they said it's based on race, which Pam Bondi is suing California after Prop 50 for the same thing. But the problem was that's not based on race. It's not. And that's why they went to the people and not let the governor do it or let the legislature do it. So that's almost skin tight. And if they overturn it and it sticks, I will guarantee you that California will walk away from that. They more than likely will walk away from it, because that why should we do it? They never wanted to do it. I don't think they'll stick with it, and I don't mean that in a bad thing, because they don't need to. Because
I
let's
think
put
they
it this
should,
way.
though. I mean,
Well,
just so people
yeah,
understand what you're talking about,
mhm,
we know that Texas gerrymandered the state at the behest of Donald Trump to take away like 5 seats from the Democrats and give it to the Republicans so they could get an edge, so they could cheat in an upcoming election. So California Governor Gavin Newsom said, "Hold my beer, bitch. I'm going to do the same thing and wash away those five that you've stolen, except I'm going to take it to the people. We're going to vote on it. It's constitutionally proper the way they did it." And they did, they
Yeah,
took the five votes. So it is now a wash. Then, as you said, the federal judge comes back to Texas and said, "What you did was illegal. So it's not going to happen." Now, it will get appealed probably up to the
to
Supreme
the
Court, and we'll
Supreme
see
Court.
what
Yeah,
happens. But I think if we're going to be tough on Republicans,
yeah.
if they take away the gerrymandering in Texas, I think California should still do it and ram it down their fucking
Well, I
throats.
mean,
Teach them
it
a
was
fucking
done
lesson.
properly. It was done properly. And here's the rub on the appeal to the Supreme Court. If you appeal to the Supreme Court and they say that that redistricting is okay, then whatever you try to do in California is done.
Yeah.
It's over. You can't stop that. You cannot say that it's okay for Texas, but it's not for California. It won't work. Even the Supreme Court would have to realize that if they keep it. And that's still, just so you know, that's still not a guarantee those seats flipping because they push it
No.
into very Hispanic areas under that under that plan on the assumption that Trump's um, bump with Hispanics would stay. Last polls I've seen, they no. A lot of them finally learned their lesson after they got their asses burned.
Yeah,
Yeah, the devil told you.
his popularity is with um, Latinos is dropping like a rock. Now, just regarding the Epstein files, something you said earlier, and I've said this before too. The Epstein files are almost a moot point because of what's already come out of the Epstein estate.
Yes.
I suspect what are in the files, the Epstein estate probably has too. I mean, it's probably similar, if not exactly the same as what's in the DOJ.
All right.
So if if the DOJ tries to redact it or delay it or slow it up, it's
Mm-hmm.
conceivable more things will come out of the estate, maybe even videos and pictures and those sorts of things. So I
Oh
don't think
God.
Donald Trump's off the hook here. And Representative Massey, the guy who started this whole thing, the
Mm-hmm.
Republican who started the whole Jeffrey Epstein thing, he said last night that um, if they dick around with this or they delay it or they do something funny with it, then he will go on the floor of the House of Representatives and read off the list of names given to him by the victims. He will read off the list of names on the House floor. Now, the reason why it's a good thing that he does it on the House floor, because there is a rule. Anything said on the House floor, you can't be sued for. So
Exactly.
these people won't be able to choke him out financially when he reveals the names. So that should be an interesting inducement. Marjorie Taylor Greene said she'd do the same thing. So one way or another, this information's getting out. And the more Donald Trump and the DOJ and Pam Bondi try to hide it, the worse it's going to be for them.
Yep. Yeah, and that's the thing. I think they still think they can get away with it. He's still, again, the 40% I was talking about. There's a plan or something to think he can weasel his way out of it. Because let's say Trump is weasel his way out of everything. I mean, honestly, the man literally led a coup against the United States and weaseled his way out of it. Okay. I can't even bring up half the things he's gotten away with by fucking everyone over because that's the biggest one he did. He got away with it,
Well, well, the
and
thing
you
is,
got and became
he didn't
president again.
he didn't get away
So
with it because he was a genius or because he had any strategy. I'll tell you how Donald Trump thinks only because I know people like this. What they do is they get in trouble. Then they do everything they can delay, push the goalposts back
mm-hmm.
because in their minds they think they will come up with something in that time frame, even though they don't have any plan now. And then they look for every loophole, every angle. Now, none of this stuff would have worked for Donald Trump if he didn't have a Congress that was complicit, a judicial system that was complicit. If a real DOJ and a real Republican Congress with some decency, he wouldn't have gotten away with this
No.
for 10 minutes. But
Yeah,
because
I
he
mean,
had these people helping him, this is why he's got away with this stupid shit. But I think we're going to get information whether he likes it or not. There is certain information he cannot control.
yeah, it's in the. So what's he left with? Because we've seen power slip. He's pissed on. He's pissed at Indiana Republicans. They want to do a redistrict.
Right.
They refused, and
Right.
he's like, "I mean, what? You refused me? Yeah." They said no. And that's something that I think is bugging him more than the actual redistricting, because it really wouldn't matter much in Indiana. Really, maybe a
No.
seat if you're lucky. And
One or
like
two,
Indiana,
maybe.
it's not uh, a big state that we really matters in the election. It really
No.
isn't. We're not talking your state matters. Wisconsin matters. Indiana is an afterthought. They're
Well,
just
again,
there
it's
next to Illinois.
the fatal flaw for Republicans and Donald Trump especially. Uh, they're more concerned with owning and inciting the libtards than they are actually creating something of substance.
Isn't that?
So he'll do anything just to, in his mind, piss off the Democrats. But at this point, the Democrats are seeing him flagging, seeing him flailing, and we can see where he's headed. So now we're just kind of standing back and laughing, and just keep pouring the wood on the fire so the fucker finally goes down.
I mean, and so what's are his options now? Well, he's ramping up. Have you seen that ICE has ramped up since this started? They really have been just in Chicago and LA. And then all of a sudden, when this came to head, they showed up in Charlotte, which is a blue city, and they went on a terror campaign. That Sunday was a terror campaign, picking up people in front of stores, teenagers, workers. Um, they invaded a fucking church. They went into a church during the service on Sunday and arrested people. For what? No warrant or anything. They busted into a church. Okay, I mean, you can't dismiss this. And all the videos and the comments I see in there, people going, yeah, well, they were illegal. How do you know? How do you know? You don't know. This is basically, they are targeting people who are brown and speaking Spanish. And I
I
thought one
understand.
of the videos, go ahead, I'm sorry.
I understand that in North Carolina, though, there was quite a revolt from the people of North Carolina. So much so that these fuckers had to hide in the woods because the people of North Carolina were pissed.
Oh yeah, that well, they were going to the woods looking for workers or working that, but people are all over them. I thought the best video was that this lady, older woman, white woman, had hired workers to put up Christmas lights on her trees. They were
Yeah.
Sunday, put them up, and ICE rolls by. They see a bunch of Mexicans working. They stop. I love the video because the lady goes, "Oh damn it, they're in my yard," and she comes out, and apparently, she came out with her safety. Her safety was a weapon. She had a gun. Hey guys, remember North Carolina is open carry.
Right.
Open carry. And she had the weapon and saying, "What are you doing? Get off my property. Get off my property now." They looked at her. One of them tried to say something, and I think all they saw was that older woman with a weapon and said she ain't playing and left. And she told those guys she apologized and they left. I don't blame them. They got out of the way before someone else showed up. But I'm going to say something I said in a couple of videos about how we're going to end up dealing with ICE to an extent, the way things are going. Everyone knows the Second Amendment has been a bane in everyone's pain in the ass for decades now.
Right.
The Second Amendment has two parts to it. Okay, I want to discuss it. The second part is the one that everyone has talked about for decades. You know, the right of the people to keep and bear arms shall not be infringed. So they've used that for decades to, let's say, any kind of regulation on guns was bad, which I think is still wrong. You can have weapons, but you should have regulations. Personally, I think you should handle weapons and guns like you handle cars. Prove you can use it, get a license to use it, get insurance to use it,
Right.
because it makes sense. But the one thing they keep missing on the first part of the Second Amendment. I'm going to read it. A well-regulated militia being necessary to the security of a free state, the right of the people to keep and bear arms shall not be infringed. So, if our free state is being challenged, and you can see it, these are men running around arresting people without due process, without a warrant, just because they think they might be doing something. That's a violation of people's rights. If
Absolutely.
someone takes the law, takes it to the point that you're threatening my free rights or the free state, and decided to an ICE agent, I would go into court with the lawyer and go, my Second Amendment right. I was defending the security of the free state. And that's what it says. That's
Right.
why it was put there, for things like this. Because honestly, the Trump regime has removed civil rights or gotten rid of habeas corpus, Fourth Amendment, Fifth Amendment, all of it. And it may take the Second Amendment to step on them, because it's right there. The forefathers knew, right?
Did you hear
Maybe
where
it's
the
a
next
reach.
place he's going?
Where?
Did you hear where the next place he's going?
Yeah,
The ICE?
Louisiana.
Louisiana. That should be interesting because that's another red state. And we've always
Yeah.
said if they go to red states, they may get a different welcome than they have in blue states. We'll see.
And the thing about it is, there's a North Carolina farmer who's gotten death threats because he spoke out about it. God, you people you just don't learn. That he's already been told when his crop he grows strawberries. Next we've already been told by farmers there's no labor. There's going to be no one to pick your crops. All right, because one guy has been putting out ads for farm workers after all this started. Well, you ain't getting no American to do that.
No.
You're not. And that's the thing. That's the same argument. You're taking jobs from Americans. Well, what jobs do you want? Washing cars? Doing the laundry at a hotel? Service? I mean, I'm not knocking the jobs, but the point is, unless you're going to be paying those people, those great Americans, $25 to $35 an hour, they ain't coming. And even if they're coming, they don't want to do the work. Because if you've done it, I've done it, those jobs are fucking hard. Especially in restaurant work, any kind of landscape work. You got to love it, or just as that you're fine with it. They showed a construction site in North Carolina. It's empty. No one showed up because there's 8 people here. Businesses have closed in Charlotte. Period. No restaurants are open. I mean, one lady in a Mexican restaurant saying there's no one there, right? And she said, "Come on, can you come in because we're losing money?" I like one of the comments. Well, if your workers were legal, we wouldn't have a problem. It doesn't matter, you fucking assholes. It doesn't matter to ICE. If you're brown, you're going down. It's simple as that. Because they have to meet quotas for the private prisons that you're sending them to, because they have money to make. And by the way, in Chicago, that Bloomfield, is it Bloomfield, the detention center outside of Chicago?
I think so. Yeah. I think
Yeah,
so.
it is getting bad in there. You had a federal judge had a hearing about it. Those places are just, they say it's horrendous. No food, nothing, no anything. They treat these people like basically torturing them. And a priest was there protesting. And there's a video of them dropping the priest on the ground and arresting him. Why? Because he was protesting. He wasn't a physical threat. This is what, and I bring this up because it's so, I kept warning these people, telling you people for fucking months. And now that you're starting to see it, okay? They're starting to target black people. Just because, got to make a quota, might get lucky.
Yeah.
He might be from the Dominican, because some of us are dark. There are black Puerto Ricans. Trust me, I know. And the point is, it's getting to the point that everyone's rights are on notice. And people all of a sudden are starting to notice this is bad. You think? Because these guys are out of control. And they're not professional. They're not law enforcement, they're all thugs. They're white supremacists. They're Ku Klux Klan. They're the Proud Boys, the 3%ers. And they're just doing what they want because they basically gave them weapons of permission, saying, "Don't worry about it. We're gonna protect you when shit comes
Right.
down." No, they're not. When shit comes down, you people are going to be the first one on the chopping block. They're going to toss your asses down the chute. I hope you enjoy jail because if your J6ers out, you're going back into jail. It's coming, whether you like it or not. And people are fighting back. They're trying to fight back, but I think it's going to get to the point. And here's the thing: they still are not going into finding hard targets. They're not going into crime areas, gang-ridden areas. No, it's still the same bullshit. Vendors, landscapers. I did a video about it. I got a comment from a guy who goes, "Yeah, I make deliveries down in South Central LA. I don't see ICE because they don't come down here." He goes, "The gang members are cool with me because I do my job because they don't show up down here because they know better."
Yeah.
And that's the thing. They are picking up people that don't need to be arrested. Simple as that.
No, I
And
would
it's
think
sad.
I would think Republicans, the ICE members, people in the DOJ and the cabinet, they got to start seeing a light here that Donald Trump is starting to fail.
Mm-hmm.
The power is slipping away, his support is slipping away, and that doesn't bode well for them when Donald Trump
Nope.
finally goes down. I've always talked about John Mitchell, who was Richard Nixon's attorney general, who ended up
Mm-hmm.
going to jail after Watergate. And I'm looking at Pam Bondi, especially now that we've got these Epstein files, and it's going to be solely on the shoulders of Pam Bondi. I feel like Pam Bondi is already being made to be the scapegoat, the sacrificial lamb. I think Donald Trump's already kind of done that. He's yelled at
Mm-hmm.
Pam Bondi for not releasing this or that, even though he doesn't want it released. I think she's being set up to be the scapegoat. And when this is all over, she's going to be one of the people that should be worried about going to jail because over and above all the shit she's done up to this point, the cover up of the Epstein files is fucking huge.
Oh, yeah,
It's
it is.
huge. And they are going to go out for blood when we have a real
And
DOJ there. She could
here's
go
the
to
thing.
jail.
Here's the thing. This would not have been an issue until you made it an issue,
Right.
as usual. No one, Epstein was dead. Ghislaine Maxwell was in jail. It was done. All right. The victims, I get it. I understand it. But that was it was done. Okay. They keep talking, well, it was Biden. What is Biden going to do? The Biden DOJ? I mean, even if Merrick Garland wasn't going after a man who tried to do a coup, do you think he's going to go after rich people for political? No, that man wasn't built like that.
Well,
But that's
Biden
not
had a
you.
problem. Biden had a problem because Ghislaine Maxwell's case was still going on.
Yes.
She went to jail in Biden's term. So the excuse they're going to use now with releasing the files with that Ghislaine Maxwell case, Joe Biden couldn't gotten the files, and he didn't control the DOJ. So you can say the Democrats should have. That doesn't change what happened.
No.
Now, if you want to blame the Democrats for not exposing it and not releasing it, that's fine. But the
Mm-hmm.
files are the files, the crimes that were committed,
Yep.
whether somebody told us or somebody didn't. This is what the Republicans always do. Why should we have to release it if the Democrats don't? Because it's the right fucking thing to do, stupid fucks. And they don't get that.
But it's there's because to them they have to have they have to get something out of it, transactional.
Yeah.
I mean that's where they're at. But again, for the Republicans, this is all Biden's fault. It's always Biden's fault. We're a year from the election, and we're Biden's fault. Um,
You know who's
what's
not
going
on
to
the
happen?
list, though?
Joe
Biden's
Biden?
not on the list. He's
Yeah, I'm
not
pretty
in the
sure.
emails. He
Nope.
didn't suck Bill Clinton's cock. He
And
didn't do any of that stuff.
allegedly,
Well, we don't
um,
know who it is exactly,
yeah,
but
yeah. But it's you can see that they're trying to trying to go after Trump's enemies. You saw what happened to James Comey, right? The James Comey thing. Oh, that
Yeah.
just went boom.
Do
Because
they have
that,
a resolution to that? I mean,
oh,
yet?
let's put it this way, that I don't know what her name is, but she is worthless. Okay. And she has never been a trial judge, never been a federal prosecutor. And when she brought that grand jury stuff and they started investigating, the judge caught her and saying, "Oh, you lied." She was the one that put all those things in there in the charges.
Yeah.
And the judge is pissed. The judge
Yeah.
is
Her name,
not happy. And they're at
her,
they're going to dismiss this case. He's going to throw that case right out the door because
well,
there's
yeah.
no there, period. Same
Her
thing with
name is,
Letitia James. Go ahead.
yeah. Her name is Halligan. She's an attorney. She's an insurance attorney. Never did any prosecution. And the reason she was given the job was because Donald Trump couldn't get a real prosecutor to bring something to the grand jury. So he hires this bimbo and gets her to do it because she's stupid and for whatever reason. And she brings it to the grand jury and she messes up or just flat out lies. The judge realizes it, calls her out. Um, and one of the complaints that James Comey's uh, lawyers have is that she was placed in that position improperly
Illegal.
or legally.
Hmm.
And if that's the case, then they just drop it anyway. And you're right, they'll probably drop James Comey's case with the fact that she was appointed improperly and all this other shit that just came out. And if they let him go out of that, they have to let Letitia James go
Yeah.
because she's the same prosecutor for Letitia James.
And you knew it was bad. It started because the judge got two grand jury indictments. She sent
Yeah.
up two. And he's going, "What is this? In all my years in the bench, I've never seen this shit." I mean, obviously they do it in nicer words. But the point being is that the incompetence is going to cost them. Now they've got this whole thing they're brewing up in Florida to catch even Obama because of the Russia hoax. They got
Yeah.
some whacked out prosecutor they appointed. They're coming up with evidence. They're going to file it in Florida because they're looking for a friendly judge. But that's not going to go in there. There's nothing there. There's no there. And it's not going to. And here's the thing: those things are about to fall by the wayside because Trump's issues right now with Epstein and the economy and the way he's doing things is falling. Everything else is falling apart. These are
Yeah.
desperation times. That's not going to save him. And even his base is starting going, yeah, this isn't what we signed up for. The only thing they're getting their heart on off is ICE. They're good with that, but they didn't expect to be paying close to $10 for ground beef. Oh, by the way, you know why beef prices are high, right, Mike?
I've
Because
heard some things. Yeah.
yeah, because according to Scott Bessent, during the Biden administration, when they just let everyone go across the open borders, the immigrants brought diseased cows with them. That's right. Not only was it caravans, it was real. It was literally a roundup, something like out of the old Gunsmoke. They were bringing all these diseased cows in. The memes have been beautiful. The memes have been great with them hopping the wall or an immigrant carrying a cow across the border. But they say that because they're desperate. You listen to these guys on the news shows. That's desperate. And
Yeah.
I want to show real quick to the economy because this is about to blow up in everyone's face, and they still won't acknowledge it. If you want to talk about a man who needs to be investigated for certain acts, it's Kevin Hessett. Bessett. Is it Bessett or Hessett? The
You're talking about Kevin Hassert.
Hassett. Okay. That man's creepy. If
Yeah.
you put clown makeup on him, he could be John Wayne Gacy in a movie. That's
He
the
is a little
truth.
creepy.
He's
He's
creepy
got always
because every
this
time,
stupid smirk on his face, and he's
yes,
always saying stuff, talking in circles. He doesn't answer questions. He's got that smirk on his face. This is one of those guys I would have met in high school and would have beat up just because of his face.
And there's just, and he keeps spouting the same thing. And here's the most stupidest thing I saw on Sunday that I never forget, when he's on Newsmax,
Right.
okay, thinking that's friendly territory, and he's talking about the prices of things and inflation. And the guy stopped him and he goes, "Whoa, whoa, whoa, wait." First of all, he brought up the Walmart thing and he goes, "No, that's not, no, we're not talking about the Walmart. We know that's not true." The guy put up a picture of the different great values. He goes, "That's not true. That's been debunked." Because, but explain to me why, when Trump said he was going to reduce inflation, inflation is up 3.4% already and rising. He said, this is a quote, that the inflation, it's not, we shouldn't worry about inflation because people got more in their paychecks, which is a lie. More in their paychecks would raises their spending power, so that will offset inflation. And I'm sitting there as a person who's taken macroeconomics going, "You're out of your fucking mind. That doesn't work like that, dude.
You
It
know,
never
you know how
does."
you know how they are trying to explain away how Donald Trump's inflation is less than Joe Biden's. You know what they're doing? They're taking the inflation shortly after Joe Biden took over after COVID, which Donald Trump caused, and it was
Mm-hmm.
up like about 8 or 9% at that point. It
Mm-hmm.
was high. It was fucking crazy high.
Yeah, supply and
But
demand, yes.
during his term, Joe Biden took it from 8 or 9, brought it under 3,
Yep.
and now it's over 3. So in fact, yes, they got it um, lower than Joe Biden started with, but that inflation was caused by Donald Trump. He brought it down like a good president would. It's lower for Trump now because of where Biden brought it to, but still, it's higher than when Biden left. This is how they talk. They talk in circles and they try to find little angles to make it sound like they're being honest,
Yeah.
but
And
they're
it's
not.
all,
It's just fucking joke.
yeah, it's all that we're trying to fix what Joe Biden did. No,
Yeah,
you destroyed what Joe Biden did. You
yeah,
destroyed jobs, you destroyed the infrastructure, you did all that. Those are facts. You've lost close to 1 million jobs. Okay. And the highest layoffs came out in October. We
right.
know these, even though you're hiding the numbers, we know this is a fact. We know beef is about ready to, ground beef is about to hit $10 a pound. Okay. We can see this. All right. No amount of gaslighting is going to help you, but they keep doing it. Trump, when talking about it, he went to a meeting of franchise owners of McDonald's. Okay. McDonald's has
Yeah,
got problems
yeah.
because all of a sudden, people who usually go to McDonald's for a cheap meal won't go there because you're not cheap anymore. It's not
No,
working,
they're
and
not.
they're watching sales drop. So him going there fits, I guess. But he was talking about jobs and he starts about inflation. He goes, "Inflation is back to normal. You're always going to get inflation. This is normal inflation now. You're okay with normal inflation." And the job, and he goes, "Good thing that I became president, or it would have been worse. You have $20 trillion in tariff money coming in, not 10 trillion dollars going out." And I'm reading this article going, he says there's millions being invested in the country in jobs. No. No. And I'm reading this and going, they still believe tariffs are making money for America. They still believe that countries pay to countries their tariffs. They
Well,
have no idea.
if they are making money for America, it's coming from the people of America. And it just
Right.
goes to show that Donald Trump and the Republicans don't care where the money comes from, just so it's stockpiled. Now, Donald Trump has said $17 trillion in tariffs. That's
Oh,
bullshit.
now it's
Most,
20. It was 20
okay. But
as of
most people are
yesterday.
saying it's more like 50 to 80 billion, which is a lot of money, and it's our money. Um, but with all this money is there, why hasn't he paid down the debt? Why hasn't he done something with it of value?
No.
Um, because he's trying to pocket as much money as he possibly can.
It,
And like you say, they can gaslight all they want, say, "Oh,
but
prices are down." When you go to the grocery store, you know prices
yeah,
aren't down. It isn't working.
it's smoke and mirrors. It's smoke and mirrors that don't work. Okay, because we pay the tariffs. And here's the thing: if tariffs don't affect the prices, why did you drop the tariffs on coffee recently
Yeah,
and imported fruit
and beef and fruit.
and
Yeah,
beef? Why did you do that? Why? Because it's affecting the prices. You're admitting that right now. They say they're not, but you're admitting that right now. And here's the thing that gets worse. It's not only that, but it's the fucking open grift that's going on with these guys. There is like Christy Nome, $220 million deal. She's getting a kickback for all these ICE ads being made.
yeah,
Okay. They're paying her money for it. Okay. Cash Patel using an FBI jet to go to a concert. Cash Patel setting up a SWAT unit, FBI SWAT unit to protect his girlfriend. Okay. Um, and here's where it gets worse. You remember Gary Hart. Okay.
yep, yep.
I remember Gary Hart, whose political career ended because a girl sat in his lap. A girl
Right.
he wasn't involved in. Truth.
Yeah,
Okay. Um, Donald, there is specific rules in the Constitution about the president getting foreign gifts. Okay.
the Emoluments Act.
Yeah. So the Swiss come in and they give Trump a Rolex clock. Now, a Rolex watch is what, 10, 15 grand maybe
Yeah,
on your
yeah,
wrist? I don't even want to think what a Rolex watch would be, a clock would cost for the White
yeah,
House. But then they give him literally a gold bar.
yeah.
They give him gold. And the next day they reduce the tariffs on Switzerland. Okay, we used to call that a bribe.
Absolutely.
Okay, people went to jail for that. And the problem is now, this is business as usual with Trump. We accept it. The media accepts it as, oh, isn't that nice that the Swiss gave him that? No, it's fucking wrong.
Yeah.
And if you want
You,
an example of that, is who showed up at the White House today. The fucking Crown Prince of Saudi Arabia, Al Bowen, who is a known murderer, who
well,
the
we know
U.S. Go
we
ahead,
know he killed the um
Khashoggi,
yeah, Khashoggi,
Khashoggi,
the journalist from the United States. He wasn't born here, but he was working in the United States.
and
He
he
flat out
was.
killed him. And Donald Trump basically said today,
Mhm.
shit happens. It's a bad world. Shit
Oh,
happens.
well, and it's worse because they, the Saudis, especially the Crown, when he came to power, there was some infighting when the King Fahd died, I believe. There was infighting. He came out and took power, and he took power brutally. This is stuff that American intelligence found out. He made sure he took care of all his rivals, and he hated Khashoggi because Khashoggi criticized him.
Right.
People understand Khashoggi was murdered, but he was literally
Tortured.
chopped to pieces, tortured.
Yeah.
It was horrific crime that American CIA and American intelligence tied to the Crown Prince. They tied it to him. And when that was asked in the White House today, Trump dismissed the intelligence again.
Yep.
Nothing, like you said, nothing to see here. No, he didn't do, he had nothing to do with it. That, yeah, he did. But what is Trump's motivation? Oh, well, other than Gerald's sitting on $2 billion from the Saudis from a few years back, there's another Trump contract or Trump project going on in Saudi Arabia that's going to bring the family $65 million. Again, illegal. Again, literal grounds for impeachment. But now we just go and look at, Trump doing business. That's not doing business for the American people. That's doing business for him.
Well,
God, I hate that.
many people think that the whole tariff gambit was not about tariffs and not improving the economy. It was about leverage he could use at each individual country to get
Yeah.
them to buy services or products from the Trump companies. And and frankly, that's what we've seen. We saw it with what you just talked about with the
Mm-hmm.
Swiss. We saw it when he went to Saudi Arabia. You know, it's funny. People like Donald Trump and the Republicans try to pin 9/11 on Mondani because he's a Muslim. First of all, he was like 7 years old when it happened, and it's all a bunch of bullshit. And he's from India. But at the same time, they're so worried about 9/11, they go and do business with the Saudi Arabians, and the vast majority of the pilots that crashed planes into buildings were fucking Saudi Arabian.
No, let's be clear. Every terrorist on 9/11 were Saudis. They were trained in Saudi Arabia. No
Okay.
one, yeah, this is stuff that came out later, but no one pushed the Saudis to it because we need the oil. Okay. But there was religious fanatics tied to Saudi Arabia. That's all they were. They had apparently, from what I've read on some of the intelligence reports, they may have had Saudi cover. That's why they were able to move the way they did. But
Yeah.
there was no other nationality other than Saudis that did it. And as for Mondami, I love watching this guy work because they've been trying to. Eric Adams, it was. I want to bring this as a side note to tell you how fucked up some people are. You know where Eric Adams is? The still mayor of New York? He's in
Where?
fucking Israel. And he was at the Wailing Wall. And then he did a speech saying that I'm not your mayor anymore, but I'm glad that I served you. I'm like, I'm sorry, you're a mayor of New York, not Tel Aviv.
Right.
What are you talking about? All right. Meanwhile, in New York, Mondami is at um, I, I guess, a place that serves food to people who need it, trying to serve people, running around with an apron, trying to meet his constituents before he takes office. He
Right.
says he's been waiting to meet with Eric Adams so he can start the transition, but Eric has been out of town. Yeah, getting that APAC money, motherfucker.
Yeah. No
I mean,
shit.
that's how fucked up that is. That's a so-called Democrat, okay, doing that shit.
Well,
And
if you question who was involved with 9/11, we talked about the pilots being Saudi Arabian. I think we can all agree that we now know Osama bin Laden was the mastermind behind the whole
mm,
thing, uh, who Obama got in his term. They got him, they killed him. Osama bin Laden was born in Riyadh, Saudi Arabia, too.
yep,
Saudi Arabia, top to bottom, they get a pass. We go after Iraq or blame Mondani for 9/11 and the people who actually did it. And I can say that because
it's the truth.
Bin Laden and most of the
Yeah.
pilots, if not all the pilots, were involved were from Saudi Arabia. So where would you ever get an idea to blame somebody other than Saudi Arabia if those are the circumstances?
It was convenient. I mean, that was all part of the craziness after 9/11, and that led to a lot of bullshit. And Dick Cheney is no longer with us, burning in hell right now. But he's the
Yeah,
one that pushed us into Iraqi war, and he will always pay for that. Sorry, he's the one that pushes would let us later into Afghanistan. You know, a lot of lives are lost for what? For
yeah,
what? I mean, and these are facts of life that have been contorted over years. Okay. We got involved in shit we shouldn't have. I always liked what Joe Biden said after the October 7th attack that lit off what's going on in Israel and Palestine right now, saying that we understand why you're pissed, but you got to back off because we saw what happened when we didn't.
yeah.
He literally paraphrased said that, but they don't want it because that's different. Oh, by the way, quick note. Um, They're trying to set up settlements into Lebanon now.
Really?
Israeli settlers want to set into Lebanon across the border. I'm like going, you really want a war? They really want to entice another war. This is how bad it's getting with the Israeli government. Because the problem we have right now when we're talking about what's going on in Palestine and Israel, if you talk about it, you're an anti-Semite. No, um, the Israeli government is acting like a fascist government. They're acting like the people who caused the creation of Israel in the first place. Okay, and to watch the Anti-Defamation League guy in New York set up a Mondami watch in case of anti-Semitism makes me sick. Dude, you don't want to know what anti-Semitism to bit you in the ass.
Yeah.
All right. And they're all using this hateful bullshit for political gain. Now, the good thing about it, it's failing. It is failing.
It is.
People are starting to get hip to this. And what I find as a side note of all this, I think it all ties together. The social experiment that started by that one woman on TikTok, Cal, God, I keep forgetting her name. The fallout still goes. Okay.
Tell them what the social experiment is,
Yeah.
so
So
they
what
know
she
what you're
did,
talking
Miss
about.
McCall, she decided to test churches. Because remember, when you tied to a church, they said they were going to serve the community.
Right.
Okay, that's what they do. That's their job. I mean, if you read the Word of God and Jesus, that's what the church is supposed to do. So she decided to do a social experiment. And so she called churches, acting like a desperate mother, saying, hey, I need a can of formula for my child who hasn't been fed in a day. And she has a crying baby sound in the background. Of all the churches she called, and I think it was like, I'm going to go with what I remember, 37, only 3 responded. One was a Catholic church, one was the Appalachian church, the older man, and one was a mosque.
Right.
Who didn't hesitate to do it. What do you need, how you need it. The other ones, file an application. Are you part of it? Are you part of a congregation? No. Well, you need to go to a food bank. That's something we don't do. Okay. Now, the reactions of the churches were pretty much what I thought they would be. They went right to persecution.
Right.
This woman is trying to make Christians look bad. One guy in Tennessee called her a witch and threatened her. Another guy of a mega church basically said this was all anti-Christian. She's out to get us. Blah, 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 blah. You guys failed. And then other people are going, why is she doing social testing? No one does that. Hey, social experimentation has been done for decades. Look it up. The Stanford experiment. Okay. The testing of certain places, like for prejudice, by sending in people who are black to ask for an apartment, getting denied it, and a white person gets behind them. This is stuff that's been done forever. And you guys got caught. Now, here's the side note on it. Someone did that in the UK. Someone did it in the UK. And guess who responded?
Oh.
The mosque.
Yeah.
Islam. Not Christian churches, not anyone. And the point is saying it's simple. These churches and pastors, and a lot of them, are cliques. You're not serving God. It's a social fucking club with God tossed in. You're not serving the community. And there's only one Christian, only one man through this whole thing who I would call the only other man I would call a man of God. First one was a Methodist preacher that we had at our place. I never forgot. We didn't even call him preacher. We called him brother. That man was a man of God. I could feel it in my bones because the way he spoke. He never disparaging. He never brought in politics and stuff. It was spiritual. He left and was replaced by a MAGA preacher that we got out quick. But was that Appalachian preacher with his little church in Somerset, Kentucky, who sits at his chair because he's too old to preach standing up. and just preaches the word of God, and you just watch him and you know he's a man of God. You
Right.
people have lost God, and you use God as a PowerPoint. And so stop it, because it's all, to me, it's all tied together. As we watch people turn on the rich, you're seeing religion starting to pay a price too, because you set you up running on the coattails of the rich. And people are starting to see that maybe Marx was right, that religion is the opium of the masses. And I mean
Yeah,
that in the sense. Go ahead. I'm sorry.
I, I have a lot of trouble with organized religion. I've always
Mm.
have. I had a couple of experiences when I was going to confirmation class. The guy was kind of the minister or the pastor who was teaching it. He was always saying, "Well, you got to give to the church. You got to tithe 10%. You got to do
Yeah.
this. You got to live with less in order for the church to survive." Well, this motherfucker lived in a free house down the block from me, worth as much money or more money than my folks' house. He had snowmobiles, he had fucking cars, he had all kinds of shit. So he was nothing more than a hypocrite. And if you had
Right.
the audacity to come into his classroom, he'd have everybody step up one by one to leave the offering. And if you didn't, you got a black check in the book. I don't think that's something that Jesus taught.
No.
I had one more experience when I was getting married. My wife was Catholic. I was not.
Oh,
My
dear
wife,
God.
my wife attended a church with her grandmother. It wasn't her church. She attended the church with her grandmother for like 15 years, you know? So when it came down to us wanting to get married, um, she had her grandmother go to the min or the
Priest.
priest and say, "Will you marry my granddaughter?" So they brought us in, and the guy and this priest was a curmudgeony old fuck. God knows what kind of despicable things he may have done in his life. Um, but he basically said, "Well, you're not an official member of the church." No, but my grandmother is, and I've come here every Sunday for 15 years. And of course, what comes up is the little issue of offering. And he basically said, "Well, we could probably do the wedding if you brought your offerings up to date." And I looked at him. I said, "Offerings up to date? Is there a specific number that you're thinking of?" He goes, "Well, no, no." I said, "Are we talking about $1,000 or $2,000? What are we talking about? 15 years is a long time. What are we talking about?" And he says, 2,000 sounds about right. And I looked at him
Jesus
and I said,
Christ.
you know what? I don't even want you to marry me because you're a hypocrite and a phony." My wife's grandmother was not happy about that, but at the same point, she couldn't argue with me about
No.
it because that's
We call that
exactly what he was fucking doing.
legally, that's called extortion.
Yeah.
That's an extortion. And if you want to piggyback on that, uh, uh, I mean, I'm a recovering Catholic, went to Catholic school. My mom was that way. My wife is Catholic, kind of still. And so in our younger years, with our first, or trying to think, or our sons, we wanted to get our sons baptized.
Hmm.
All right. So she wanted to do it in the Catholic church. So we went to the local church where we lived in Palmdale, California, with St. Mary's. So we had to meet with the priest. I will tell you all to this day, I hate Notre Dame football. I hate Notre Dame with a passion. You know why? Because I sat behind that front of a desk of a pudgy, white-haired, black horn-rimmed glass priest with a big fat Notre Dame football sitting looking at me, lecturing my wife and I that we weren't really married because we got married in Vegas and not in the church. So we're going to have problems getting your child baptized because we're
Yep.
not really married in the eyes of the Catholic Church. So yeah, it's a thing. It's a thing, and it's starting to pull apart because people start seeing the hypocrisy for what it is.
Yeah.
You keep selling us that Islam is this beautiful, horrible thing, but they're willing to help. And then we make this clear: there's radicalization in each one of in each
Oh
religion.
yeah.
Those are the
There's
ones
bad
you
in
have to watch
Muslim,
out.
the Muslim or Islam too.
Yeah,
Yeah, absolutely.
Islam, Jewish, and Christianity. The only problem right now I have with Christianity, the bad version of Christianity seems to be the majority of Christianity,
Yeah, it
which
really
is wrong.
does. It's
And
unfortunate.
you know it's bad when there's a pastor in a Charlotte church praising ICE for cleaning up the city.
Yeah.
Okay, that tells us exactly where we're going to go with this. I mean, I'm hoping because tomorrow, Wednesday, shit's going to start to hit the fan with Donald Trump. And a lot of stuff is starting to spin out of control. And a lot of people are afraid he's going to go to war with Venezuela. But I've been hearing reports that there's a lot of military members reaching out to attorneys asking, hey, can I refuse an order?
Yeah.
Oh my. They got tossed out of the National Guard was tossed out of Portland. That held. A federal judge has in New York has ruled no, you cannot go into federal buildings and state buildings and arrest people for immigration. ICE can go into buildings and on property to arrest people. We have the federal judge against the Texas redistricting. There's something slipping in the power base for Trump.
Well, something
Um,
something that I said before, this whole situation with the Epstein vote and all Republicans voting
mhm,
against Donald Trump. Now, I know Donald Trump said, "Yeah, go ahead, vote for it. I agree with you." He just did that to save face. They were going to vote this way no matter what, because if they voted against releasing the files, it would destroy their futures and their campaigns, because 90% of the people in this country want the Epstein files. So there had to be a moment in time when they pushed back. And make no mistake, regardless of what Donald Trump did to try to save face, the Republicans in the House and in the Senate pushed back on Donald Trump, handed him his single worst loss in both terms, probably, is doing this. And I've always said this: once you start that snowball rolling down the hill, it gets bigger and bigger up until the time you get an
right.
avalanche. And I think we're getting closer to that avalanche. And like you said, some of the military people are going, this sounds a little fucked up. And
Yeah.
now Donald Trump doesn't have the credibility he once had, or at least the ability to claim credibility. So I think it is falling apart for him. I don't know how quickly it happens, but he's losing a lot of
He's
support, and this will ultimately bury him.
and also you can see physically, time is
Yeah,
finally catching up with him. That
yeah,
is not a well looking man. I'm sorry. He is looking more sickly and frail, and he's starting to lose it. Who the fuck goes to a reporter to ask a hard question? And I've seen presidents deal with it before at hard questions. They ignore them, they yell back a little, but I
yeah,
have never seen a president turn around and call a reporter a pig.
yeah.
I mean, quiet piggy? Who the fuck do you think you are? And don't say he's the president of the United States. That still doesn't mean anything.
No,
And
no.
I'm like, what? And see, that's him starting to lose control of the demon that he is. And
Yeah,
that's because of his
absolutely.
dementia and his physicality. And you can't dismiss it. They're going to try to dismiss it. They've been trying to do it, but that's not going to work. That's not even going to work for Fox News when you say it to a reporter.
No, they're kind
But
of falling out too. They're looking very stupid.
yeah,
They're coming
he's
apart at the seams as well.
and so it comes back because we have to ask as we come to the end because I've seen the time. We have to ask our question. Even if all this shit comes out, literally everything. Okay, I mean everything comes true. Everything we're thinking that Trump's guilty of when it comes to Epstein. What's the consequences for him? Is he
Yeah,
going to resign? No. You
he
know it, and I
could.
know it.
He could. And I'll give you the instance where he could. I've talked about this
Okay.
before. I understand what narcissists do. When they get cornered and there's no way out and their tricks don't work, they start to flail. and they start doing anything and everything and causing all kinds of problems. That's the stage we're in right now.
Right.
When ultimately, when everybody goes up against him, and the Republicans get tired of having to pay the price for what Donald Trump does, there may be a pressure campaign for getting Donald Trump out. And I don't know what they do or how they do it. Um, but the end game for every narcissist who's failed and flailed and been cornered and can't get out of it, they're cowards at hearts. So they do
Right.
run. They do run. If he's got nobody supporting him anymore, that's all he's got left to do. So that could happen. Whether he'll survive that long, or, if the Republicans go to him and do what they did to Nixon and say, listen, Donnie, you got to resign. Otherwise, the Republicans are going to impeach you and kick you out. What's he going to do? He's going to do exactly what he did with the House of Representatives. He knew he was losing, so he said, "Oh yeah, that's fine. Go ahead and vote for it." He's all about saving face. He's all about his own perception,
But
perception of him. So he will take the easy way out every time if he's backed into a corner.
did he really expect though 400 of them were going to vote? That
I don't
everyone
think
but
he
one?
expected. I don't.
I,
I think he
I mean,
expected
that was
100.
yeah, that's what he thought. I don't think he expected that was repudiation. I don't even think Mike Johnson expected that, and I think
No,
that's what he had. But my question to you is: he going to survive to the midterms?
I don't think so.
Yeah,
I don't think so.
it.
And Ed's been on record to say that he won't make it to Thanksgiving, which is next week.
That's a reach, Ed.
Um,
Nice try though. I
uh,
appreciate you though. I don't. I think he'll get beyond it, at least
well,
into
I'm
the
going to
first
finally
quarter of
talk.
the year.
Hopefully, I'll be talking to Ed this Thursday or Friday, and we'll
Mm.
see if he still stands with it. But I got to tell you, does Donald Trump look well enough to survive another week? Actually, no, he
Yeah,
doesn't.
I
He
know.
doesn't sound it. I mean, when he talked to McDonald's, I don't remember the exact speech, but I was listening to people talk about it. He went off on tangents that had nothing to do
That
with
was the one I
fucking
was telling
anything.
you about. That was the
Yeah,
one I was
he
telling you
sounded
about. It was
horrible.
bad. It was bad. And also, here's the thing too. If he shuffles off this mortar coil and JD Vance comes back, let me make it clear to Republicans that doesn't mean you're going to win the midterms.
Oh no.
No, no, no. Let me make this clear. If you lose your leader and JD Vance comes up, no, no one's going to believe in the eyeliner dude. MAGA still won't take control, and I think the Democrats still win the House, and then it's on. Because
Yeah,
without Trump covering for him, could you imagine the bloodbath after that? If they
yeah.
win the Senate, I mean, it would be investigation. And there will be no legislation because I don't want no legislation passed because nothing will get signed by that eyeliner dude. What will happen is a butchering of Pam Bondi, Cash Patel, ICE,
Hegseth.
yeah, Hexet. It would be a mass, and you can't get away from it. Investigation on investigation. Yeah, sure, the DOJ is not going to prosecute, but it'll be all out there. It will be horrid. And people say, well, that'll be a standstill for Congress. We won't get everything accomplished. We ain't accomplished shit anyway. And it's still
Well,
their
and
problem with the economy, period.
yeah, it's been a year, and the Republicans haven't accomplished much except their bullshit big beautiful bill. Um, and frankly, the 2 years where it's a standstill, is there anything that you want Donald Trump or the Republicans to
No.
pass? The fact that we could stop it would be beneficial to this country, at least put us in a holding pattern for a period of time.
And
But
they
but
may
you know
do
what?
something.
After
Yeah,
after
go
the
ahead. I'm sorry.
midterms, if we win the House and the Senate, and Donald Trump continues to fall, um, the Republicans may vote for an impeachment just as a call for mercy because they're getting destroyed.
So you put JD Vance in, is that going to help you? Not going to help you. I mean, it'll
No,
take some
it's
pressure off because it ain't Trump, but you
yeah,
know,
no, it's not
I
going to
mean,
help them. But they don't really have any other choice but JD Vance and Donald Trump. Donald Trump is a wild card. He cannot be controlled. JD Vance can be controlled. So that's the benefit to the Republican Party.
and I don't think no one's going to buy his bullshit. And no, they're going to try some. They're still working on cultural. stuff. They think the culture wars are still going to work. I thought
Yeah.
I caught a quick bit from the Lincoln Project. Rick Wilson was talking about he's expecting Russ Vought to tell Trump just to get rid of SNAP, period, just end SNAP, which he can't do.
No.
Because he's justifying because they're using all the racial tropes. And I was listening to that and go, yeah, the racial tropes that your people came up with during the Reagan years. So fucking don't bring that to me, Rick Wilson. I'm sorry. You guys
Besides
caused
the
that.
continuing resolution that they just passed funds SNAP for the next year. You gonna
Yeah,
change that?
that's the thing. The money we without a Congress running roughshod. I mean, they got rid of ethics here, another ethics guy for the DOJ. They've gotten rid of, you know, auditors. They've tried to get rid of the GOA. They can't. They're trying to. They keep trying to hide shit. And the only way we're going to find out what's going on later is that basically once everything shifts and you get the investigation started, that's when people will start going to jail
Yeah.
because they're going to see where the money went. Because let's be honest, they're looting the treasury. We know
Yeah.
it. It's a mess. And that's why everyone's going to pay for it in the end. I mean, I know a lot of people will tell me, that they listen to me because they want me to give them something. And it's hard for me to kind of tell you in the short term that everything's going to be okay because I don't see it how it's going to have be short term okay. It's going to be tough.
Let me
It's
ask
going
you
to get
this.
ugly. Yeah, go ahead.
Let me ask you this. I got this text from Trucker T.
Hey,
You
trucker.
know Trucker T. Uh, and Trucker T says, I just heard the biggest crock of shit on a live. Guy by the name of Jaded on live, and I know who he is.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know him at all personally. Jaded said that if the president doesn't sign the bill for the files within 10 days, Mike Johnson can soft veto it. The speaker doesn't have power to veto.
No,
That's a bunch of bullshit. That's
I
somebody's
mean,
making some shit up.
no.
That's ridiculous.
The only thing that you can do is he does a what they call a pocket veto. That's if Johnson puts the House down again, and I believe it's under recess. It's 45 days. Then the president doesn't sign it. It's called a pocket veto, which means it's already been. He just vetoes it without signing it.
Right.
That's part of the Constitution. We might be talking about a pocket veto, where if Mike Johnson goes to it's time for vacation again and shuts down Congress, and since they're on recess and the president doesn't sign over a certain amount of times, the bill is vetoed automatically.
Even if it's veto proof in the sense that it was voted on overwhelmingly, you
Well, I
can't.
mean,
Is it?
it's just that instead of him signing it, it just automatically is vetoed because he didn't sign in a certain amount of time while Congress is in recess. Hence the
So
term
what?
pocket veto. He just
You
took it and
can't
put it in
veto.
his pocket.
But when you have 427 in the House and 100 in the Senate vote for it, you can't
Oh, I
veto
mean,
it.
they might think that's going to help them, but once Congress comes back and the bill will have to go back to the House after the veto, then the then the vote can take place. What he's probably thinking, what they're thinking is, it's okay because he wouldn't sign it. He can veto it without signing it and looking like he did that. He rejecting releasing the Epstein files. Now that's bullshit. It's it's a mechanic thing for the House and the Senate, but I think that's what he's talking about.
Yeah.
If if he if Mike Johnson, and he's done already, calls a recess for the House, early holiday recess for the House,
Well, we got
and that's still
Thanksgiving next week.
yeah. So in Trump has it in and just it doesn't sign the bill or doesn't do anything with the bill. Again, it gets vetoed after a certain time. Might be the 10-day window. I don't remember. And where does he get this from? Schoolhouse Rock, people. I remember it. It's in there. It's called a
Yeah.
pocket veto. Okay. I think he sees this. I think that's what he's talking about. He's just termed it wrong. I'm
Yeah.
not saying it's a crock of bullshit, but it's something Trump would do in his mind going, I didn't sign it. I don't know
Yeah.
what you're talking about. It just vetoed it by itself. I can see him doing that because he's that dumb. And Mike
Well, he is
Johnson's
that
that
dumb.
dumb. Yeah.
It's not going to save him, but it'll do one thing that Donald Trump loves doing,
Mhm.
pushing the goalposts back and delaying it. And that's one of the things that I think that they intend to do, uh, even before the idea of redacting everything. Because if they put out the heavily redacted information, that's not going to help them. People are just going
No.
to get more pissed off. They're going to try to delay it. Oh, we just
So,
have to do this. We have to do that. He has 30 days. The DOJ has 30 days to put it out. I think in the bill, though, it said earlier than that, so I don't know which
yeah.
one they have to do.
And here,
There may
and,
be some attempts to delay it, though.
and so we talked about a lot of stuff, but the to watch them get hoisted on their own petard is beautiful to me
Yeah.
because even if we have economic problems, even if he decides, um, he decides we're going to go to war to Venezuela because I'm trying to distract, even if ICE does something horrendous in the streets of Charlotte or Chicago or LA or now in probably New Orleans in Louisiana, and but Epstein's is still sitting out there, that's still going to dominate it. No one's going to turn their eyes from it. If they think he is lying, well, we know he's lying, but if they think they're getting shortchanged on the information,
Right.
all right, even the hardcore MAGA are starting, only the hardcore MAGA are hanging with him. Those on the fringes are starting to see that he's nothing what they wanted. He's nothing what they wanted and is coming up to catch you up with you because you're not only seeing that from his demeanor and his fall from grace. It's just that the way things are running because it's now affecting you.
Yeah.
It's affecting you, and you can't run from it. You can't hide from it. This is what you voted for, but now you're seeing as but I thought it was supposed to happen to them. No, welcome to the real world. And so, come these holidays, if it's still hanging around, that's going to twist and build.
Yeah.
And that's even going to make it worse for him because I don't care how much gold you put on the White House, it doesn't change the fact that you are a tarnished man with a tarnished soul and you're on
Absolutely.
total display with everyone. And
Absolutely.
maybe after all these years, finally people will say, yeah, he ain't a good dude. Finally.
Funny, we've been
I,
saying that for 10 years.
yeah, I
It's
know.
taken this long for some dumb fucks. I'm going to wrap up the Rational Boomer podcast. Will, thanks for coming on. I know it was
I
one of
appreciate it,
those
Mike.
days where I needed to hear some shit from you, so I appreciate you coming on.
All right. I appreciate you. You guys find me on TikTok, RJ12764 on TikTok. Again, Substack, Binder38US and Substack. Same for YouTube, Binder38 on YouTube. My email is on my YouTube profile, but if you want to reach out to me, it's KUMQUAT, the number 6 at outlook.com. Again, I have a paid subscription service on um, on Substack. If you want to subscribe to support my work, great. I will, if you want to do a one-time donation to my work to help me going, I really appreciate it. Just email me and I'll send you a link. The person who has been giving me one person gave me a donation that literally I used to buy a cane because of my niece. Thank you very much. That sounds bad, but I really appreciate that. But again, as I say to everyone when I sign off, hey, there's more of us than there is of them. And it looks like the shine is coming off this apple. And I'm going
That's
to be
right.
here for it. I want to be here at the end. Please, God, let me see it all end before I shuffle off.
That
Let
that
me.
the polish is coming. The polish is coming off, and not even Donald Trump with his advanced polishing skills can fucking take care of that.
Oh
If you
my
know what I
God.
mean.
Oh yeah, we know what you mean. The memes with the horses guy is a bit much though. That one
Yeah.
is a bit much for me, but okay. Do what you gotta do.
Do what you got to do. For those of
All
you
right.
listening, thanks for doing that, taking the time. I hope you have a great day, and we will talk to you again tomorrow.